right, guys, here we go. We're continuing our graphing of square roots. So we're in section, I believe, section 5.3 in there somewhere. Off the top of my head, I don't know what section that is, but I'll see if I can find it for you here in a second. So that has to do with graphing these guys. So let's look at graphing square roots. So if we've got f of x equals, let's say, negative square root of x plus 1 plus 3. Let's just kind of look at that one there. So we've got a few things here. We've got our a. So let me change colors for you guys here. We've got our a. It's equal to negative 1. That's this one right there. We've got our h, which is equal to negative 1. And don't forget, we got that by x plus 1 equals 0, and then x equals negative 1. So that's my h. And we have my k, which is equal to 3. All right, so let's kind of look at this. I'll kind of do it in a graphical format. So let's change colors again here. So we have graphing here. So if we do our graphing, we know, what do we know? We know that we have our graph, and we have an h and k of negative 1 and 3. So we go over to negative 1, and we go up 3, and we've got our starting point right there. So that's negative 1 and 3. All right, so we know we've got our negative 1 and 3. So if we're down here in our words section, we know our a is negative 1, which is going to flip over the x. And we know our h and k is equal to negative 1 and 3. So we've got those pieces right here. And we also said it flips over the x-axis. So instead of our graph going this way, we know our graph is going to go this way. So we know it's here somewhere, right? We know it's going like this. So we would like to find where it crosses. We don't know where that x-intercept is. So how do we always, oops, I can't even spell intercept right. How do we know? How do we know where that x-intercept is? Well, we know what the function is, and we know that every time we have an x-intercept, the y equals 0. So we're going to do our algebra portion. So let me do that one in a different color for you guys. We're going to do that algebra portion here. So this is our algebra. Whoa, that's awful thick. There we go. Let's do algebra. So we've got our algebra here. So we have negative square root of x plus 1 plus 3 equals 0. And then I'm going to move the negative 3 over. So I'm going to get negative 1 square root of x plus 1. So we're taking care of some algebra stuff here, guys. Divide both sides by a negative gives me the square root of x plus 1 equals 3, because I divided both sides by that negative. And now I have to square both sides. So if I square both sides, I get x plus 1 equals 9. Subtract both sides by 1, and I get x equals 8. So my x-intercept is going to be 8. So if I go up here, that's not a very good accurate drawing, but my x-intercept's way out here at 8. Okay, so let's just double check it here. And so we have our numerical piece. We have numerical. And we want to check f of 8 and make sure it equals 0. F of 8 equals negative square root of 8 plus 1 plus 3, which is equal to negative square root of 9 plus 3, which is equal to negative 3 plus 3, which is equal to 0. So f of 8 equals 0. So now I know for sure it is an x-intercept. So now I'm just going to, if I can, very carefully erase this piece here. There we go. Close enough. So I know where my x-intercept is. So then I'll just kind of go through this right here. And there is my graph right there. Starts at negative 1 and 3, curves down, and then moves on right there. Okay, guys, so don't forget, you need to graph it. You need to find the x-intercepts by setting it equal to 0, and then we'll finish it off. X-intercept is at 8 and 0. Okay, and we're just explaining little pieces like what A is going to do. A is going to flip it over the x-axis, which is what it did right here. It's flipped over. And then we are checking to make sure our solution here is not a fake solution. All right, guys. So let's move up a little bit here. Oops. There we go. So let's take the next idea. Let's look at a few things here. So we'll do one more quick thing. So if they give you a word problem, some of them are about roller coasters or different things. Let's say they give you something that looks like this. V is equal to the square root of a squared plus 22h. I'm totally making this up. And they tell us that V is equal to 100 and A is equal to 3. And they say find H. So all we're doing here, guys, is we're taking this piece of information here and we're plugging these values in. So they tell us that V is equal to 100, and they tell us that A is 3, so we have the square root of 3 squared plus 22, and we'll go back to the red color here, back to red, H. So I'm really finding H. Well, once I plug everything in, I'm looking at this. Okay, well, how do I get rid of this square root? Well, we follow what we've done before. We square both sides, and that gives us a big number, which is 10,000. 10,000 equals 3 squared is 9 plus 22h. And then we subtract 9, so we're going to get 9,991 equals 22h. And then we'll divide both sides by 22. And we get a problem that looks like this. And you can plug that into your calculator, and you'll get an estimated decimal. So again, don't panic when you see something like this. Just square both sides, do your math, do your algebra, and follow your algebra rules. But remember, to get rid of the square root, we always have to square both sides. So even on a word problem, don't panic. Fill in the information and then go from there. That is the last little piece that you need to know. All the other stuff is review on there. So good luck, and we'll see you soon, guys.